Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How is everybody today? I don't know why, but my voice is a little on the low side today. It's maybe a little scratchy, so I apologize. I don't think I'm sick or anything, but it is what it is. Okay, so I see you guys are chit-chatting about this apocalypse, um let's see, facade of the Cathedral St. John the Divine in Manhattan. So this one's kind of interesting. I guess it was done in like what they okay, since its construction first started in 1892, the tympanum and its surrounding columns on the portal were all blank. So at some point they added 1988 to 1997, they added in Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse with contemporary takes on the themes to either side. And so the contemporary themes are the destruction of New York. Always a fun thing to add onto your church. So they do look very modern. It's kind of a weird choice because you've got these kind of traditional looking statues up here, and then you've got this pointy collapsing structures, architecture. I don't think it looks very good for starters. But yeah, I've not heard of that, and it is kind of interesting. You'd think that this would have kind of come up around you know with some of the recent stuff that's happened in New York, like the Twin Towers. So apparently the Twin Towers were on here. So supposedly they're still constructing this thing. It's still just, I don't know. There's another view of it. It just doesn't really go with the surroundings, but what the heck? I don't know. I feel like this should have been like brought up in like around the 911 situation, but all right. So anyway, I don't know what to say on that one. It's just something. So what was the thumbnail? Okay, here's another example of the thumbnail. So I've had mammatus clouds on before, and believe me, I spent a lot of time looking through all of the images of mammatus clouds. And there's a whole new kind of batch. In fact, I've looked through these a couple times, like every, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I'll look through them. So suddenly today, part of it was I really needed a thumbnail. So I found that mammatus had a lot of this streamer stuff going on, which I thought was really weird. And then I looked more and I saw the ones that I just had up. Let me just put these up again. So I've had them on before, but they weren't like in a linear strip when I had them. They were just, you know, so these are natural clouds, weren't in my old timeline. Showed up a while ago, but they were just circles, they were just spheres. And now they're like kind of lined up. So I thought that was weird. So see, there's all these images now like this one where they're in lines, and they weren't in lines before. There were no images of them being in lines. And now there are a lot of images of being in lines. This one, never saw anything like that before. I'm also seeing these ones where they're like some are sticking out and some are back. So before it was a pretty even bunch of circles, but now we see like this kind of thing. where some are sticking out or some are further back. I hadn't seen any. That's not quite as striking, but yet it wasn't there before. And I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one I have on the thumbnail so you can see it bigger. That's not how I wanted to open it. There we go. So you can see now they're all lined up. And I might have even had this same image, but when they weren't lined up, because it looks kind of familiar. So yeah, it's even more weird now than it was before. Just when you think you kind of like, okay, that's it for those. The heck is this one? Is that even a real image? Okay, I think that's actually art. Getting hard to tell nowadays. So you can see a lot of these are getting a weird streamer look to them. Here's another one. All right, so that's they're almost like beads on a string now. So that's the next level in the mammatus clouds, apparently. Ooh, that one's interesting. Okay, anyway, yeah, I actually didn't spend that much time looking at it. I was really like up this creek because I didn't have a thumbnail. So when I found one decent one, I'm like, yes. I'm pretty sure I've had those on as a thumbnail before. I really should go back and look and see if my old thumbnail has them in a linear pattern now, if it's also changed. Cube clouds, rectangle clouds, marshmallow clouds. Yeah, now I think we have beads on a string clouds. Pink dolphins. What? Oh, dolphins. Okay. I assume you mean pink dolphins. Yeah, I didn't have those. I have not yet seen pink dolphins yet, though. It kind of sounds like it should be a thing, though. Adam Anderson. I didn't even like read off the people, but you know who you are that's here, so thanks for coming. I guess my brain was able to click in without doing the read off. All right. Well, I don't want to get too much into the old Jabberwocky versus no Jabberwocky. I think everybody knows my opinion on that one already. All I could say is with the level of side effects we've seen with the Pokedies, every other vaccine, other Pokedie that has ever been trotted out was recalled, and we have way more side effects now than we ever did with any of the previous ones. And there was a lot of misinformation that they stated, like that it would prevent transmission, and we now know that's not true. So the propaganda has been next level. But of course, we would never say anything bad about our government overlords and their government advice. Safe and effective, right, people? Yeah, sure. Sure, YouTube overlords. All right, here we go. So this one was brought to you by Mark Tyus. This one is bizarre. It's another one of those things you read where it's like it just has Mandela written on it. So the story now, supposedly it's true. I mean, I looked in other places and it's fairly corroborated that when the Civil War happened in the United States and the South lost, a bunch of Confederates decided to move to Brazil and start a new Confederate land because slaves were still allowed in Brazil at the time. And so they live there to this day. They're saying like 10,000 Confederates moved. It wasn't just a couple. So the way this story starts, kind of screams Mandela. Every once in a while, we come across a story that is almost too hard to believe. The story of Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil. So the name of the area was named Americana, and it's in Sao Paulo area, Brazil. A city within the largest city on earth is one of them. A city within the largest city on earth. Except this time, true. A group of Confederate patriots who fled the South at the end of the American Civil War with slaves and tradition in tow. Yes, it's one of those curious stories that isn't widely publicized, however, is extremely fascinating. All right, they're talking about so these are all modern day Confederates. They're the descendants of the Confederates, which is why it looks all shiny and new, because it is new photos. There is some historical stuff with the Confederate flag. What Wikipedia and other historical sites forget to mention is the fact that just after the American Civil War, Emperor Dom Pedro II of Brazil offered asylum and the ability for the Confederates to continue their lifestyle in Brazil. According to a fantastic first-hand account of her trip to Americana in 1979, author Elizabeth McKnight recounts an old woman aged 99 living in Americana who recounted the history of the settlement. As many as 7,000 Confederates opted to set sail for Brazil. All right, I've seen 10,000 in other places. A country twice the size of U.S. at the time and a nation where slavery was still legal. The Brazilian government, under the rule of Emperor Dom Pedro II, recruited the Confederates, taking out advertisements in U.S. newspapers and sending representatives to the American South to persuade proud Southerners to live out their dreams in Brazil. The Brazilian government was eager to import the Confederates' cotton-growing knowledge and in return guaranteed them arable land at 22 cents an acre. Most went to areas surrounding Sao Paulo, but others set sail to Rio de Janeiro. At least one shipload of Southerners docked in the port of Belém, set sail down the Amazon River, and survived on berries and monkey meat, but perished from malaria. The only community of Confederates that survived was the group that got to the place called Americana, which they chose because it most closely paralleled their home in Georgia. They thrived in an environment that had defeated many settlers before them, blah, blah, blah. They flew the Confederate flag and enjoyed the traditional Southern meals of biscuits and gravy. The settlers had very European names like Stonewall and Butler. Today, Americana is a city of 120,000 people with Confederados descendants making up only about 1/10 of the population. But the ties to the South live on. Fiesta Confederada is a celebration that takes place every year in Americana. The festival has Confederate flags, Confederate uniforms, food typical of pre-war South, and dances reminiscent of scenes from Gone with the Wind. So apparently they still celebrate this Confederate stuff in Americana, Brazil. I'm kind of wondering if this story might grow a bit. It's, I don't know. It's pretty strange. Okay. Let's see what you guys are up. Oh, let me put it back to live chat. I remembered by myself. Nazis in South America and Confederacy in Brazil. Is South America becomes some kind of sci-fi cyberpunk Doctor Who episode? The whole world is coming like that. I swear. It's just like crazier stuff every day. Confederates in Brazil is not something I would have ever guessed. I'm pretty much at the point where I believe anything could be possible. When I wake up in the AM. Yep, yep, I know. Why in this reality are many pink animals? I think pink is an easier one. Yeah, pink dolphins are real. I've had them on the show. I think pink is an easier one for the reality to sneak in because skin is kind of pink already. So if say you get a little bit of sunburn, it's kind of pink. So if you have a hairless animal, it could be pink, right? It's not that weird. Um, it's a little weird just because they didn't exist. So all of this dolphins, they're first of all they're river dolphins. So I called foul right then because I don't remember there ever being freshwater dolphins before maybe 5 6 years ago. That was all saltwater. But so they're freshwater and pink. But they've been around a while. I've had these on. Okay, so these ones actually, though, hey, these are not the pink river dolphins. These are some around Hong Kong, are a variety of Indo-Pacific humpbacked dolphin. Never heard of a humpbacked dolphin. A spot of them are pink near Hong Kong. Interesting. Pink dolphins are also found in the Amazon River in South America. Yeah, that's the ones I'm thinking of. Boto dolphins. However, Boto adults become more pink over time as their skin is rubbed away. That's interesting. That I do not recall that being a thing the first time I checked into these Amazon River pink ones. For this reason, males are pinker than females because they are more frequently aggressive with one another, basically exposing the blood vessels as time goes on. Okay, that is a new tidbit for these pink river dolphins. I have not heard that one before. And there wasn't a lot of info on them about 5 6 years ago. Um, mm, mm. Research in the late 1990s found only a small population of 200 remaining in the waters around Hong Kong. And conservation say there are now even fewer. This is interesting because I really am like straining my brain, but I think I had on a few years ago that just a few were found, only just a few, and they were the sightings. People were all excited because they were thought they were extinct. These pink ones around Hong Kong. Now they're saying there was 200 in 1990s and perhaps a few less now. That's a whole different thing than extinct. Warned that plans to expand the island airport and build a bridge could drive the population away completely. I don't think that's going to happen. Not with the patterns we've seen. It's just, you can't have a single article without, and human activity is going to drive them extinct, and human activity has caused them on the brink of destruction, and habitat, blah, 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 humans are bad, blah, blah, blah. There is not a single article. Anything that's doing well is due to humans are then invasive, and it's all our fault that they're going to ruin everything. So it's just kind of an interesting, never-ending guilt trip type of situation. I don't think the dolphins are going to go away because they build an airport. Mostly because we just have not seen that pattern at all. We see as much as there's this propaganda that we're ruining everything, all I'm seeing is twice as much of everything. All right, I don't know, RuneWolf77, if you're joking or not. I'm, I'm hesitant to look up that information because it's very hard to tell anymore. Reality from trolling, but I might check into it later. Is there any Mandela's conference in the USA where people share their experiences? So we had one right before the pandemic, and I'm really glad I went to that one, and it was in Idaho because that was where the main person who was helping organize it was located. And he had, that was Dark Wolf. He's not in today. He goes by Dark Wolf. His name is Jerry. But Dark Wolf's Den Show, he has his own show on YouTube. And it was very fun and very well organized. They had speakers, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was very much like a much larger conference would be run, but there weren't a lot of people. I mean, there was only maybe 20 or 30 actual people just to show up. But that was the first year ever done, and then the pandemic hit. So I know, yes, Dark Wolf's Den Show. Dark Wolf's, there should be an S on that. Tell me there's an S on that, Shari. Dark Wolf's Den Show. Otherwise, I call foul because there should be an S. So yes, so IMEC is the organization that runs it. IMEC. They have their own YouTube channel. I'm clicking on. I'm assuming this is where Shari is sending me. Yes. Okay, so this was the old conference. Some shows on it. They are talking about having another one next year. I'm not sure where it'll be, but I think there is a reasonable chance that it will be in what is that place? It's Nashville. I think there's a reasonable chance it'll be in Nashville, just because of certain people that run it now live in that area. Humans are the problem, brought to you by the reptilian corporate underlords. Yes, I don't know what's up with that spiel, but it is very much like the never-ending guilt trip for existing, which I used to fall for a lot more before the Mandela, because I think everything is just the way it's supposed to be now. Okay, here's the Dark Wolf's Den Show on YouTube. Yeah, it looks like there's still an S. Yes, there is still an S on Dark Wolf's Den Show. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, that just seems to be the thing. You created carbon, you ruined everything by your existence, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy that anymore, especially after the Mandela. I do think everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I don't think we should feel guilty for our existence. I mean, do the best you can as a human, a live human, but do not feel guilty for your existence. I feel that nobody should feel guilty for existing, and I do think that we were meant to be here as humans. Brian Stavely has a meeting up in Huntington Beach, California in 4 weeks. I don't know, is he just having like a meetup thing, or is he actually having a show? I kind of don't even feel like, I don't know. I mean, like, Stavely, who tells everybody that we all suck, is now having a meetup. I don't really feel like I really want to go after he came in here and insulted me a bunch of times. He's not like Mr. Congeniality, although he does see some interesting Mandelas and stuff, certainly. Dark Wolf is on another platform. Yeah, okay, so Dark Wolf, he does a lot of political stuff, and I know it's getting very hairy on YouTube for that. So I believe he is doing some other stuff on other platforms. Some animals go extinct. So, Vivian, I do not know of a single animal I have known that went extinct. Now, they say such and such went extinct, but when they tell me it went extinct, I never heard of it. All of the animals in my lifetime that they said were destined for extinction, like California condors and the bald eagle and blah, 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 all of those things are thriving now. Not a single, even one of them have gone extinct. So what I see is we get more and more animals and more of each animal. And when an animal shows up, they tell us it's near extinction, but it actually seems like the true story is the reverse. So an animal shows up and there's only 50 of them left and they're near extinct. A couple years from now, there's hundreds of them, but they're still near extinct. And then there's tens of thousands of them in a few. So like the snow leopard, they said there was only maybe 200 left when I first heard of them in one area. And now they're in multiple countries. There's 10,000 or so of them last I checked. And the reality where there was only 200 left never existed anymore. So I just don't believe in extinction the way we're told it anymore. Has anybody seen Moneybag's new videos? Yes. Are you talking about the one with the people flipping out because they saw the moon in the daytime sky? Brown-eyed. Okay, you're more interested in that, and I'm more interested in the other one. I know, Shari. Can you dig up where is that link I sent you in? That shows his eyes really well. Can you shows what an image or a location that shows his eyes? Because it took me a while to find that last time, and I don't want to do it yet. I don't want to do that here. Okay, so there's two things Shari's talking about, or maybe just one thing and I'm talking about the other one. So Shari sent me a thing a while ago, like a few days ago, saying Moneybag's eye color is somewhat of a Mandela for some of us. We remember not only was he Moneybag 73 or 76 before, and now is Moneybag 73 and has always been that way for some of us, but also some of us remember his eyes being brown, and then they turned blue a few years ago. And I remember a very light sky blue, like an ashy color of blue, like an ash blue, very blue eye color. And Shari noticed that recently, if you look at his videos, not only they're darker now, so often you can't see the eye color. It used to kind of pop. But when you can see the eye color, it's more of a greenish tone to it now. So we think maybe there's been another shift on his eye color. I don't know if, so Shari, can you, if you can find one and link it, that would be more efficient, because I know it took me a while to find. Most of his videos now, you can't see the eye color. Okay, here, let's see if this one will do it. Excuse me. I don't know why, but yes, I think that's the one I sent you. This stupid advertisement is very obnoxious. Let's see if I can't get rid of this advertisement. I had the same problem. Okay. You can still see his eyes over the stupid smile, though, in a lot of it. All right.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm off today. Worked 17 days straight.
All right.
So
now I'm trying not to.
Extremely busy in the event business, but I want to talk
Sorry,
about the Mandela
I have to
effect.
look at it on
my
my other
wife just
screen,
walked
and
out of the office.
It's not giving me there. Now it gives me.
She's
access.
definitely
All right,
on the
let me
list
just
of
find-
Mandela effect deniers. She just
I don't
said
know why,
right
but
now
this
the
whole
Mandela
thing-
effect is insignificant. It doesn't matter. Even
It's
if
not giving me
there
access
had
to
been
the
any
pause
changes
button.
to anything,
Come here, pause
and
button.
she doesn't think that anything's
let's see.
changed, so she can't verify it.
See, I'm not getting the scroll button
Everything
here.
I
I
asked her,
finally
yeah, it
got
could have
the.
been that way. Maybe
It only
not,
shows
so
for a second.
To me, she's denying it because she's brought me
There.
more than
No, it's
one
gone again.
change. She's brought me a Monopoly board.
All right, but
change,
anyway,
and
you
there
can
was
kind of
another
see,
one.
right?
Vent
Oh,
Nor.
it gives me access, but it
I
won't
never
work.
heard of Vent
His
Nor
eyes look more
Avenue
to me.
on Monopoly. I remember Ventor. And Ventura sounds
I see
familiar,
it.
but Ventnor, Ventnor, Ventnor. I never heard of that ever. And I understand that.
All right, I can't make
they're
this
named
one work
after
properly.
streets in
It
Atlantic
will
City,
not
blah blah blah. I get all that.
stop.
Yeah,
And I don't want to
know.
have
I
like
don't
half
need
his video
explanation.
on here, so I'm
So
gonna
anyhow,
end it. But
I
to
wanted
me,
to
they
talk
just
about
look more
the
greenish.
conversation that I had with my
Interestingly,
stepfather.
they look a lot like
was over there the other
my
night visiting.
eyes, because I have more green eyes. So it kind of flips me out a bit, because I think I would have noticed if he had like a very similar eye color to mine. His might be a little brighter. I do have a little bit of brown still in my eyes, but it's I used to have about half brown in my eyes towards the center, and now I have very little. So that has been but that I would not say it's a Mandela. I guess I'd have to go back and look at my old images to really know. But I've definitely noticed over the years that the brown has faded out. It would turn kind of light and then grayish, and then it would be greenish. Also, I got those rings around the, what do you call those? The dark lines outline around it. I saw Moneybag talking of feeling like it's back in 2016 with the ME. Haven't seen his latest one. Okay, so his latest one that I saw, I don't know if it's latest, but the one that stuck in my mind is apparently on TikTok, a bunch of people are noticing that the moon is out in the daytime. Okay, now I know that's not a Mandela for everybody, but 10-ish years ago, maybe a little later, that changed for me. I still remember the first time I saw the moon out in the daytime, and it absolutely flipped me out. I know I've talked about this before. I have not seen a new wave of people talking about that, though, so that's kind of trips me out. So TikTok, if you go on there, like moon in daytime, you can find a fair number of them on there saying, oh my God, I really kind of want to go to his video. Let me see if I can find Moneybags. 73 YouTube. All right, here it is. All right, I have not seen this one, so I was thinking of this one. People around the world, all right, now I see I am getting that one to work, are seeing the moon during the day for the first time ever. So now I have to say this, okay, even though I now don't spend much time lately outside in the daytime, I've just become kind of a nocturnal creature. I'm not sure why, but the few times I'm out during the day, I still do sometimes see the moon during the daytime. So I just can't, even if you literally are on your phone all day, I mean, you have to like walk to your car, and there's times when you're driving or sitting in the bus and you have to look out in the sky and you are going to see the moon in the daytime. There's no way you can get to be like 20 years old and never have seen it. So these people are flipping out because suddenly they're like, the moon's in the daytime. And it's interesting to watch his videos. You can see I made it all the way to here. And I think I got distracted with something. But almost every video is very similar, is that somebody first shows the moon, and I can't believe it, that's the moon, and you can see it's daylight. And then if the sun is visible, they immediately pan to the sun and go, now look, the sun is here and the moon is here. Now, obviously, this is daytime because it's, a light blue sky. A few people couldn't see the sun, but they look, there's shadows. This is the daytime. Like, we wouldn't believe them unless they got the whole thing in the same video. So these people really are seeing it for the first time, and they're flipping out. So this is just one of many videos he had on here. They're from all over the world, which is interesting. Now, I went on my TikTok and I looked, and I did find that some of them were from a few years ago, and a fair number of them were from just days, the last few days. So there is a new wave. I'm not sure how big of a wave of people, but there's a new wave of people that apparently came straight from the moon is not out in the daytime to it is. My shift was rather gradual when I had that, because the first time I saw it, it was near sunset. It was like a half hour from sunset the first time, and then it kind of came out more and more, and then eventually a few years later, and that was actually after I already knew the Mandela, so it was like maybe a 5-year journey to having it out in the middle of the day like this. Okay, so I don't know. It's kind of exciting for me because this is one of my Emmys, and a lot of people don't see it. And then Shari noticed the eye change on Mandela Moneybags as well. Also, in my before reality, Biliniceps rex became extinct. Biliniceps rex. I don't know what a Biliniceps rex. So you were in reality when something became extinct. Is that the story we're looking at here? My reality never had anything become extinct that I knew of before it became extinct. But my reality did not have these. Okay, so Biliniceps rex is shoebill. So shoebill is brand spanking new to many of us. Well, not spanking. It's about 5 years old. These things became extinct. We never had them. I never had them. A lot of us never had them. They weren't extinct. They just showed up and were always here. And they've continued to change. First, they were just weird looking. I've noticed that they've developing this weird fuzzy brown gray stuff on the beak. The hook under the beak has gotten more and more extreme. The smiley pattern has gotten more extreme. A few years ago, they started making gunshot noises, and the bowing thing kind of clicked in. You can see how much the get on there. How come this one won't load? All right, I'll close that one. Now that other one's gone. I just wanted to show the hook on the mouth and how extreme it has gotten, but I guess it is not to be. So yeah, interesting. So you then are saying that they were extinct in your timeline. Well, they've come back. White rhino is near extinct. For me, it's new. There was no white rhino. So when you say it's near extinct, I never heard of them until about a year ago. Let's see. And they're not white, last I checked. I have a feeling they will become white over time. There was only one rhino. It had one horn. Now most rhinos have two horns. There is one rhino that has one horn, but that is a lesser common one, I think, if I recall right. White rhinos. Let's see what we got for these guys now. There's only 19,682 or more in 2015. And a much rarer northern white rhinoceros. Okay, so white rhinos have split into two species now. That's a subspecies right now, but give it time. Yeah, they're not very white. They're looking a little light. I think that we will find that they will get white. White rhinos have 3 distinct toes. Okay, close-up of skin. Okay, so the skin is fairly light. But I guess these are just dirty is the story. See, there's the skin. I think we'll see them looking whiter and whiter, though. The dirt will get washed off. So yeah, near extinct. There's 20,000 of them. I think that's a lot more than when I last looked at them. Brown-eyed or blue-eyed bunny bags. We're on green now, guys. We're on green. Yeah, why did he say it was like back to 2015? Is it because I think he was excited about those TikTok videos? Now, granted, I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok looking up Mandelas. The thing is, most of these people have no knowledge of the Mandela. They're just like, they walk outside, they see the moon in the day, and they're like, bleh, how is that possible? I found the Black Tom explosion for the first time today, but you might have got... Yes, that has been on multiple times. We had Gunnar walls in my old reality, but the spelling changed. Ah, interesting. I have never heard of it with the G on there. No narwhals in my original reality at all. And those horn teeth things they have keep growing longer and longer. I think they were at, what, 8 to 12 feet last time I looked? Some kind of ridiculous amount. I can't believe anybody remembers unicorn whales swimming around in the sea today. Yeah, no, they weren't there for me, and again until it was a little, maybe I learned about it a few years before I learned about Mandela, so maybe I first saw them around 2014-ish, maybe. They say living water is more viscous. I say that. I don't know who they is. All right, I'm clicking on this mystery link from Shari. Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I haven't heard of this. Water is underappreciated, your bones, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh. This highly structured water is referred to as fourth phase of water. Not H2O, but H3O2. Instead of H2O2, it's H3O2. It's called living water. It's more... Okay, no, wait. This is different than I have seen. More viscous, dense, and alkaline than regular water. Has a negative charge. Can hold energy. Key ingredient in highly structured water is light. All right, do we have any mainstream backing on this, or are they just trying to sell this weird water? H3O2 water. Let's just see what we can find here. H3O2 water. In Advanced Inorganic Chemistry by Cotton and Wilson, an H3O2 ion is described. Chemically speaking, H3O2 would be bihydrogen anion. Only lasts for about 200 femtoseconds. It also has a different chemical formula than water. All right, so mainstream says no. Hexagonal water, also known as gel water, structured water, cluster water, H3O2 or H3O2 is a term used in marketing scam that claims the ability to create a certain configuration of water. Okay, so it's not official in the mainstream, and I'm not seeing a lot of official backing for it, but we have seen that they, a few years ago, went from saying water is H2O2 to saying that water is kind of a variety of molecules. So I kind of feel like this is a addition onto that, and we may see this become more solidified. Right now it's just a scam, but I would, officially it's a scam or whatever. I think we might see more to that though over time. Maybe not that exact thing that is the scam, but something kind of along those lines will probably show up. We've kind of seen this. Yeah, don't pet the dog because it's A, vicious, or V, viscous. Yeah, viscous is the water. So I've also talked about, when you said viscous, I've talked about, I feel like the surface tension of water is a lot stronger. So we're seeing a different kind of physics now with that. Okay, so oh yeah, water H2O. Did I say H2O too? It should be H2O. So H3O2, I guess, is what they're selling. I don't know. There's going to be something though. There's going to be something I think with this, because they kind of floated, pardon the pun, the concept of different molecules in water besides H2O, and but they haven't really. It hasn't solidified. So I think that we're going to see something with that. I talked to my friend last night in Colorado, and he had just been back from his kidney doctor and said, no, his are still where they always were, below the ribs. I wonder if you can get like an x-ray. I'm curious. I've had ultra pure spring water before. Best water I ever had. I don't know if it was ultra pure. I've had spring water. I didn't think it tasted super amazing. It tasted fine, would be what I'd say. That water is very alkaline, that I tried also. I don't know. The bottled water, they've kind of figured out how to put just the right minerals in so it tastes really good. And I don't think that the spring water quite compared. Another peculiar enemy, Russians sent a rover to Venus in 1975. Russia. I know we've covered a rover to Venus, though. I'm sure you've seen that, Shari, right? Yes, this was on. I had this on a couple weeks ago, this exact image of this Venus rover thingy. Yeah, I said there was more of them. Yes, this has been on. So, and I had mentioned at the time that it used to be, it was just like a few minutes, 12 minutes or something, that the rover was able to stay on, and it had increased to longer, like it was like 90 minutes, and they got photos. And the last version of the Venus rover did not have that. Now, my original timeline, Venus was gaseous and you couldn't land on it, so there was no landings. Makes you wonder how surgeons even know where to look for organs anymore. How many versions of humans are there now? So, Ghost User, what I was told by a number of nurses and types that work in surgery rooms is that nowadays they do imaging always of the area they're going to work on before they do surgery to make sure everything is in the place it should be. So, that's how. So doctors now are constantly being reminded of each new upgrade. They probably do sneak along like millimeter by millimeter. So they know where stuff is, unless maybe it's some third world country that's not doing the imaging or something. But I think even most surgery rooms in most countries now do that. I saw a thing the other day that was kind of shocking to me. Was they have this little X-ray machine, and it looks like a little tablet, and they hold it up. So like, say horses, it's pretty hard to get a horse into the vet, especially if they're kind of wild, and have them lay down and get an x-ray. Well, they had this little tablet looking thing. They hold it up next to the horse's foot outside, like in the stables. And it takes the x-ray of the foot right there outside, and then they can see what's going on with the horse. So I've never seen anything like that until like last week. I don't know if those are brand new or they're a Mandela or what. I was like, whoa, that's cool. Mandanimal bought the farm. You mean you bought a farm? Cool. So do you do like do you do like, what kind of stuff do you raise? Is it just like plants? Do you do animals? Kind of curious. I wonder if the landing was suppressed because of the Cold War. No, there's no history of it being suppressed. It was always known. I mean, if it was suppressed, then that should be in the storyline. But no, it was one of those things like we've always known. Yeah, it is. It's like is it, do they call them tricorders? I don't know what the heck. I mean, because I mean, tricorders is obviously from Star Trek. But yeah, I just saw that for the first time. That's an old cartoon meme that there's an X-ray picture frame type device. Yeah, yeah. Now we have it, and it's very effective. Now I've said before, like the what do you call those things where they use sound to take the pictures of the babies in the uterus, in the womb? Those things. There was a point a number of years ago when they suddenly got way better quality, and there was a little intermediate point because there was, and I don't know if this is still there, but basically I saw the old images. I swear you could not even tell what the hell that thing was, not to mention if it had any defects. And I would glare at those things, and they're like, well, you really have to have a lot of training to be able to interpret these. And I'm like, I cannot see even where the baby is. And then suddenly there was these better images, and the story was that these illegal devices were being used that were too powerful and dangerous to the baby, but they were giving these better images, and they were like should be outlawed and stuff. And then a little after that, that story, I didn't see it anymore. And then all the images were great, even the ones from the regular hospitals. And now you can see the baby in there, and the sonic ultrasound. Yeah, the ultrasound. All the ultrasounds, you can totally see the baby now. You couldn't in my old timeline. I swear to God, I look at that and I'm like, somebody would have to be a super genius to see even if there was a defect. So that was a big switch for me. And now sonograms have always been pretty decent, like way better than before. So let's see. All right. So ultrasound from 1970s. Let me just see, or even 80s. Ultrasound image from. Let me just see if I can see 1970 of baby. I wanted a baby because that's what I was used to looking at. Blink. All right, see, like this one, is that from 1970? Yeah, 1970. Okay, so you could not see feet like that. There's no way. All right, at least looks like a baby. Is this from 1970? Let's just go here and see. There's absolutely no images that look like a baby. I can't see any images that suck like I remember. Let's just put it that way. This one's working on it, though. That one's actually 2016. I mean, everything in here looks like a baby. Trying to see if there's any dates on any of these. No. Anyway, none of them suck like I remember. This one even is better than I remember. I swear. It's like the worst one. February 2009. You can at least tell there's a head, a nose, a mouth, and a body. That is better than I used to have. This one is getting close to being as bad. Anyway, I just don't see it. I have never seen one that sucks as bad as I recall. No, these were like babies that were far along, and even then, even if they're 4 months and they look like a lizard, you can see there's a lizard thing there. It doesn't just look like a smoosh of nothing. I have a big garden and fruit trees and berries, 4 cats and a dog. Okay, no, you're not farming like beef or anything then. I had diagnostic sonograms at 2, 4, and 6, and it looked like a little alien. See, it didn't look like anything. It didn't look like an alien. You couldn't. If somebody just told you there was a towel in there that was smooshed up, or it could be anything. There was no, you couldn't see bones, nothing. You couldn't see nothing. I literally look at that. I go, something's like kind of moving like a. You couldn't tell if there was even. I could have been like looking at the toilet flushing for all I knew. I just. Yeah, you literally could not tell where the head was or anything. All right, I'm clicking on this. Okay, so that's okay. The whole thing has made like the Overton window has shifted. Basically, now this is the possibly illegal ones look like, I don't know if they really are, but they look like they're freaking statues. They're so perfect. But my point is the whole thing has shifted over, that you could not see crap at all. Literally couldn't. And now the regular doctor ones you can. So that's why I'm thinking this H302 thing, it's like a stepping stone. I think we're going to see more of it in the same way that we saw more on this one. The Overton move. If you've seen the concept of the Overton window, frankly, I've only ever heard of that in the last 3 years, maybe. But it's basically like your whole framework shifts over because of one concept, and they use that now a lot when they're talking about techniques of propaganda. In my time, you couldn't see what was in the ultrasound. Yeah, I know, but see if you can find any ultrasounds from the 70s or whatever your age range is that look that bad. Even ones from the 70s now, from the current timeline, 70s, I don't think you're going to find any that suck like the ones from our 70s sucked. Scary thing is sonogram is used to heat up muscles and remove any cramps. So why did they do babies in the womb? I think it's going to depend on the frequency and power levels, but also, frankly, last I checked, there wasn't really much evidence that ultrasound, that sound repair thing, does much of anything for repairing muscles. It seemed like it. And maybe in another timeline it will, but last I checked it was kind of a scam. Because I was having problems with the back of my feet, like where the calf meets up with the foot. And I had that done when I was at one physical therapy guy, because it's just kind of a complimentary procedure. And so I'm like, well, if this works and helps, maybe I should look into getting one for myself. And I looked that they weren't that expensive, and then I did all the research to see how effective they were, and I couldn't find any research that showed they were effective at all. So maybe that's changed now, but last I checked, there was not. So I didn't buy one because there's no research is effective. Why bother? I got ultrasound therapy in my back muscles, and it burned under the skin like a microwave. I still suspect it would be... I've actually had a thing where they put like a little electricity thing on the back of my foot and ran energy through it. And that was not an ultrasound. It was more like it was just like regular electricity, not, house current or anything. But I could feel that puppy. Yes. And it was very warm. So I'm wondering if that's what you had done. All right. Here we go. All right, this one was from Jay Emblin, and it's just kind of this weird thing. Apparently, there was this thing in for Victorian women where they had it was sort of like a multi-tool that they would hang on their belt, and it was called a chatelaine. And this is an example of one. And some of these were quite big. And there's like this whole story. Like you could have all kinds of stuff on here. So like people who do a lot of sewing would have sewing needles. There might be perfume. There were stories of them putting poison into the perfume instead of it being perfume. So they could carry poison. I think this was like a little thimble here. This might be a sewing one. A whistle, purse, blah, blah, blah. And a bunch of keys. Now, what's interesting is if you look at these things are big. So I've seen a lot of Victorian women images, but I don't recall a giant bunch of tools hanging off their belts. So the story then is that like the lady of the house would have a lot of keys hanging there. And I'm like, doesn't that kind of ask for them to be stolen? But they would dangle them. And so that was sort of a mark of prestige. And so then other women started dangling other stuff to get that same look. It looks like this one was like maybe pen, like a notepad. Maybe this is a perfume. What context did chatelaines develop? The concept of waist-hung items is most universal. The word chatelaine, I think it's supposed to be chatelaine, was not used until 1828 when a London magazine called The World of Fashion reported a new accessory called La Chatelaine. I swear this was chatelaine last I checked. The next year's magazine published 3 fashion plates of ladies wearing chatelaines. All right, maybe I'm losing it because I thought it was chatelaines. Okay, so they're wearing all this stuff. You can see they're quite long. Pens, papers, a clock, everything. And interestingly, they don't have... See, these are big now. So I think, shouldn't we have seen these things on these images before? Like this is one here. Here's a big old thing on her here. She's a nurse, so she's got scissors and all this other crap. This one's got a bunch of stones in it, looks like. Look at the size of that one. Scissors. I should actually go back. Oh, that's weird because apparently I did type chatelaine. This kind of flipping me out because I swear I typed chatelaine, not chatelaine, but I could be wrong on that. So this one is from Jay Emblin, as I said. Also, last week I had one on about the Appaloosa weird colored horses, and that was by Bill Knight, and I was kind of rushed at the end, and I'm not sure if I gave attribution correctly as it should have been. Okay, here's another image. You can see she's got this huge purse-looking chatelaine thing on her waist there. So you can see some of them here did have giant purses along with scissors and all this other crap. Oh, look at this one. Just like crazy. I have never seen this on any of these Victorian women images. Okay, so here she's got, I don't think she has it on there. I can't tell if this purse thing is in her hand or is it, I think it's dangling on her. Here's an old image of a bunch of stuff. She's got one here that dangles off to the side. Let me just do a thing on Victorian women and see how many of these we see on there. All right, it's getting a little tricky because that one's blurry. Okay, so maybe we're going to have to watch this. It doesn't look like a lot of these women have it. This woman has it. A lot of them have so much stuff or they're angled wrong. I think this one might have it. All right, I don't see a lot of images, so maybe that's why we hadn't seen it before. However, I think we should keep an eye on these. All right, I guess that's the end of that one. I can't find my earliest sonograms. They might be around somewhere. I remember my first sonos looking like it could literally be anything. Yeah, that's how they were to me. Like I couldn't even find the subject that they were supposed to be looking at. Finally got some solar panels this year that go off grid entirely. I'm not in the paid program because they take your power. Yeah, they if you can pay for it yourself up front, you do end up saving more money in the long haul, definitely, for the solar panels, at least in the United States. All right, what else we got? Let's see. Victorians, got that. All right. All right. What do you guys remember for the last time I looked at the world population? Do you remember what it was back then? Because I've definitely, there's a little gnat in here, which is why I'm flailing. I've been kind of watching this and it has jumped around. I haven't seen a huge jump in a while, but just from memory now, no peeking. What was the last time I looked at the world population? What count were we at? Do you remember? I got that one. All right, I'm going to cover this concept because it's another complicated one. Oh, I can't, you know what? I can't remember if somebody gave me this one or I just saw it. I think I just saw it, but I'm not 100%. I don't have anybody listed as having pointed this one out. But I kind of have a weird feeling somebody did tell me this one. So if you told me this one, I apologize. All right. So I've just been hearing about this lately. It's called shallow water blackout. So basically that's... No, actually, I think I did see this on my own because I think I ran into a story on Yahoo, and that's how I saw this one. Okay. Shallow water blackout. So that's like people are swimming in their swimming pool, and they're good swimmers and everything, and they decide to go under the water, and then they just black out and die. So what's weird about this is normally if you drowned in the pool, it's because you couldn't swim or you had a medical issue or a weird cramp or something. You didn't just die when you could have just swum to the top. Not in my old timeline. If you were, if you're running out of air and you were 2 feet from the surface, you just go up there and get air. Okay, well, a while ago, it was around the pandemic, I really just started hearing that your urge to breathe is not due to lack of oxygen, but due to buildup of carbon dioxide, which I thought was pretty weird because I've never heard of that. So that concept now has led to this concept where basically, if the carbon dioxide doesn't build up in your blood, then you won't know you need to breathe, and you could just pass out, not having the urge to breathe. And the way that can happen is, according to the current storyline, if you hyperventilate, like take quick breaths, and even a series of small breaths, like you go, and then go under. Okay, I'm not sure how many. They just said a series of small breaths. But that apparently, fast breathing drains the carbon dioxide out of your blood. And then you go under, and that will allow you to stay under, not feeling like you need to breathe. And it can get to the level where you just pass out. You're only 2 foot from the surface, but you pass out from lack of oxygen, not knowing that you need oxygen. And this just was not a thing. I first heard about this as free diving, but in free diving, you go really, really deep. So if you were to need oxygen and you're way, way, way down there, it could obviously be too late to get to the surface. But this shallow water thing, no, you're 2 feet away. If you knew you really needed air that bad, you just pop your head up. So somebody died in their swimming pool in this article. They were just swimming along the bottom. You've probably done that if you know how to swim and you've been in a pool. Sometimes you'll just see how far you can swim underneath, like you're a dolphin or something, and then you'll pop up. And it's kind of a test for, how long you can hold your breath, and it's kind of cool. So this guy was just doing that, and then he just died, or almost died. They were able to fish him out when they realized he didn't come up and save him, but he almost died because he just blacked out doing that. That was just not a thing in my old timeline. There was no danger of you having that happen. You just pop up and freaking breathe like normal brain cell person, but apparently that's not how it works anymore. You could die by just taking a series of small breaths and going under and then blacking out. Let's see. Loss of consciousness caused by lack of oxygen to the brain at the end of a deep... Okay, well, that makes sense, kind of, because you couldn't get it. But this... Blackout occurs when all phases of a breath hold dive have taken place in shallow water. Mechanisms for this type of shallow water blackout is lack of oxygen expedited by low carbon dioxide levels as a consequence of voluntary hyperventilation before the dive. Blackouts, which occur in swimming pools, are probably driven only by excessive hyperventilation with no significant influence from pressure change. I don't know why, but I suddenly have this nerve in my hand really went crazy. Okay. Well, my nerves have been a little bit weird the last few days. Suddenly, this part of the hand just went for no reason. All right. Yeah, I can feel it here too. It's weird how that is. You can feel it through the body. It's here. It's here. All right. So, yes. Yeah, your breathing reflexes. So in my old timeline, you just wouldn't, you just wouldn't have it. If you could get to the air, you'd get to it. It's right there. All right, original timeline, 9.5 billion, 10 billion. Woke up one day, it was 6.5 billion was left. Gradually climbing since then. And now we've had it on here not that long ago. And I'm just curious what you remember then. Then it was 6, now 7 billion. $6.83 billion is what you remember. Last time it was 7. I remember it getting close to 7 last time. Like it was rounding up to 7. All right, now I'm going to check it. Assuming it's the same as it was last week. Pretty sure it's this one. No, this is not it. Worldometer, that's it. There was a count thing. Where's the count thing? No, it's not there. I thought it was worldometer. Urgh. Maybe it was this one. All right, come on now. I thought it was worldometer, but it doesn't have a counter now. Here it is. This is the one. So I was a bit surprised to see it at 7.9 billion now. I don't think it was that long ago when I just looked at it, it was 6.9. So unlike past shifts, I really feel like we got a billion since last time I looked. That seems too much. Now my past shifts have all dropped down. Like I was at about 7 billion like 5-6 years ago, and then it dropped down to like low 600s, and then it was kind of stuck there. Like it was always pretended it was counting up, but every time I look it would be around the same, and then it looked like it was finally moving forward, and it had made up to close to 7 billion last time I looked, and now suddenly I'm at 7.9. That seems like I've actually jumped to a higher population. Now, one of the things I kind of thought about this week was, we've had all these pandemics show up in our timeline. I don't remember so many pandemics, like they're just a lot more extreme. Even that word pandemic to me was new just a few years ago, but now it's an old word. So has that knocked down the population some? Is that why we're having a lower one than 10 billion like many of us remember? Certainly in this timeline it looks like viruses can jump species a lot more, and we still have the bubonic plague now where I didn't before. Anyways, I'm really suspicious about this number when I clicked on here to see it 7.9. It just wasn't that long ago that I checked, so did we get another billion? Even Dr. Bronell's bottle once said 10. It used to read this weird occult poem on the label in the showers back in the day. 10 billion strong was what it said. You're right. I do remember this 10 billion strong song. We are 10 billion strong. I do remember that term. What is that term now refer to? I mean, there's not 10 billion people, so we can't be 10 billion strong. But it was like, we are 10 billion strong. That was a saying. 10 billion strong, join the movement. Bangladesh Master Trainer Institute. How can you be 10 billion strong when there's not 10 billion? The movement. Because if you don't want to get to 10 billion, that would not be the term you want to use. In just over 30 years, the United Nations predicts the world population will reach 10 billion. Yeah, I remember 10 billion strong was we are 10 billion strong. I remember that was some kind of advertising thing. We are. It's not we're going to be 10 billion strong. It's we are 10 billion strong. That I have not thought of that in a while, but it's very clear as we are 10 billion strong. Interesting. It's very interesting. It's a very weird choice to make in the current timeline. It made sense before. Never seen it at nearly 8 billion. Yeah, it's so quick. I think we jumped. So last time I checked, we were barking up 7 billion. We weren't over it yet. Now, I don't know if you checked when I checked. My older sister said she had deja vu all day. I remember my brother telling me that he was actually breathing underwater for a few minutes like a fish. That is really interesting. I've kind of wondered if we might get to that event. It's going to be a lot of shifts, but I have realized recently that when I meditate, my breathing is getting so shallow that I sometimes think that I've not been breathing for some time. I get that also, but I don't mind it. Like it doesn't feel bad, so I don't know. Yeah, Ghost User, you're kind of like a lot of people. You remember close to 10 billion, rounded up in conversation. I woke up one day, it was 6.5 billion was left. It gradually climbed. Yeah, so there was a lot of things like where did all those other billions go? Were they taken? My thing was, did they ever exist? I don't know. I mean, if there's a lot of non-player characters, then, if you delete them, they weren't really there to start with. Flintstone's vitamin song. Yeah, me too. Was that it? Yes, that was it. It was the vitamin song. Flintstone's vitamin song. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yes, okay. And so, let me see if I could even find it. 10 billion strong. That would make sense. They want everybody to take vitamins, right? Oh, it's 10 million strong. No, it was 10 billion. It was 10 billion. Oh my gosh, it's 10 million. I remember it was 10 billion. 10 million strong and growing. That's a later one. I do remember this one too. 10 million strong and growing. But the old one was we are 10 billion strong. Like that. It was a different, it didn't have and growing. Okay. Yeah, Mandela's so sneaky. I am positive it was 10 billion though. Hey, Dark Wolf. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember that old commercial that said we are 10 billion strong? We were just talking about that. People are talking about Anne Lansbury's death. I'm not sure what's up with that. Was it in Alive Again? She died? She didn't die? You better clarify it. I'm a little confused. Many casualties in the Time War. Yeah, many casualties in the Time War. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It does sound like a Doctor Who thing. World War III, it turns out, was actually a time war, and the casualties are in the past. Retrocausal warfare. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So if the Earth was getting overpopulated and then they just changed the past so there was less population, I mean, it's getting they had 10 billion people in the Stone Age. Turns out the Doctor Who was rather prophetic. Yeah, but again, we see it first shows up in art and then it shows up in reality. So, and there were a lot of subjects on Doctor Who that were sort of Mandela-y, timeline-y, more and more and more of them right during and before all this stuff. Yeah, you remember. Yeah, so there is no 10 billion strong. Now is it 10 million strong? So, was it billion or million? So why we're asking is because a lot of people remember 10 billion strong as 10 billion being the population, and remember a commercial said 10 billion strong, but now it's 10 million strong and growing is apparently that commercial. The much more recently, for a number of years, it's been 10 million strong and growing. Now, I do remember a number of years ago, I suddenly heard that and growing, and I'm like, oh, that's new. I don't remember that part. So, yeah, anyways, Dark Wolves, we are now at, I was just saying that last time I checked the world population, it was almost 7 billion, and I don't feel like it was that long ago. But now we're at almost 8 billion. So I actually feel like, from my perspective, we may have taken a little leap at more population. Unlike past leaps, which were always less population for me, it looks like I don't think we should have got a billion. We were very close to 7 billion. Now we're very close to 8 billion. I don't think we should have got a billion since last time I checked. So something's a little sus. Nobleness D was pointing out in 2018 that both Mexico City and New York State, which have same numbers of people, moved from 30 million to 20 million each overnight. That's interesting. So frankly, I just didn't have enough room in my memory banks to concentrate on individual cities, so I just went for global population. And I started that when I learned of the Mandela, because everybody was talking about it used to be 10 billion. People were saying cheesy lines like 10 billion people on Earth, and I found you, babe. I found dozens in 2017. That's interesting, ghost users. I would not be surprised. So I just remember it being, it's people on Earth were 10 billion strong. Stay strong, take this vitamin. It wasn't that they were all taking it, but now it's like, okay, 10 million takes the vitamin, I guess. I don't know if they really do, but it was basically like, we are strong, humans are strong, keep it that way, 10 billion strong. I keep dreaming of family members that have already died the last couple of weeks. I've had some weird dreams lately. Not that kind, but just sort of like talking about Earth, like somebody's talking about Earth. Like a few days ago, I had one, they were talking about Earth, and I forgot a lot of it, but I do remember they were saying Earth was challenging because the sun is so hot. It's so much desert and hot. Like, it's not normal because there's a whole bunch of sun, and like there's so much sun, was what they were saying. And I kind of got this concept of like all the dry parts and stuff. Like, we were really dry, the sun. That was weird. So like last night I dreamt about people came from other places and were getting like shunted here somehow, like through the time space continuum, like they showing up And they were telling me about how it was worse where they came from and it's better here. And I was like, what are they doing here? At first, there was just this one. And then the next thing you know, there was like a bunch. And I'm thinking, well, we're not set up for all these people. The house is a mess. And then I was at this in this room that's not my house, but in the dream it was, and there was all this clutter on all the tables, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna take forever. I got to clean up. And then all these people who had come, they cleaned up all the table. They said, look, look, and all the tables were clean, and they had taken all the stuff and perfectly organized it on these shelves, like this really tall shelves behind, all just exactly out, like all the like pieces were together. Perfect. It was like perfect. And I'm like, oh, well, that's really cool. They came and cleaned up my house. And then there was like a discussion that I'm like, well, does anybody want food? And everybody's like, no. And I'm like, what? Did they feed you before you came? Because why wouldn't anybody want food? And then somebody's like, okay, we have to take care of some legalities because Cayenne hopscotched to get here. And I'm like, what does that mean? And Cayenne was this woman, and her name was Cayenne, and she had like reddish hair. And I don't know, it was like a weird dream. And I'm sorry, it's probably boring to hear about dreams, but it just seemed like it was one of those dreams that maybe meant something. Actually, the human, I think you mean the Schumann, has been dipping between 7.83 hertz. So yeah, I saw there was actually, for the first time ever, I saw mentioned, I believe it was MBB 333's channel mentioned the Schumann's been quiet for the last week. Google says 1 billion strong is from an environmental sustainability program. No, I know, I looked it up and that's the current story, but no, it doesn't even make sense because it was we are 1 billion strong. That was the sentence. We are 1 billion strong. And then there was like a fist, we're strong. And that does not work with something that we aren't even yet. We're not going to be 1 billion strong until sometime in the future, according to the current timeline. So we couldn't say we are 10 billion strong. Are we in the between? Is this Earth? Is this the afterlife? Yeah, is it the bardo? Is it, I don't know. I really don't. Is it a simulation? I mean, that's kind of my favorite one. Dreams are so detailed, then I can't remember what the dreams were about. Yeah, well, there's just so much in it. And then it's like, but it's a different mindset. And when you move to here, it's like, it all made so much sense then, but... I don't think we're in Kansas. Yep. How can you... I don't know, Shari, what are you referring to with the stone statue burning thing? I think it would be possible to heat it up to the point where marble would fracture and crumble. That marble is kind of wimpy. So a marble statue. Now, granite one, that might be harder. We could be in Revelation 27, but anything could be possible. So we could be in Revelation 27, and one of those others could be true if you look at it a different way. Because 27 just says stuff that's going to happen, but it doesn't really explain how, the mechanics behind it or anything. Does anyone remember Stephen? I remember Stephen Hawking, and now it's Stephen Hawking. Hawking's. Wait, you're saying there was no G? There was an S. Stephen Hawking's, and then it was Stephen Hawking. Are you telling me the G is gone now? No. They stole a G. Stephen. Okay, wait. Hawking's. It was Hawking's. Kings. Hawking's. Stephen Hawking's. Now it's Stephen. This is so wrong. Stephen Hawking's universe. All right. Okay, no, the G is still there. So what? You had a Hawkin with no G? He still has the G for me. He's missing the S. It's Hawking's. He was Hawking's with an S. They don't like those S endings in this timeline, do they? A lot of S's have gone away. There's still an S on this one. On this eBay person remembers it. Stephen Hawking's Universe DVD. Okay, so what you had where you did not have the G, huh? Is that the deal? It's the flip-flop king. Okay. Yeah, so for me it was S to no S, and I didn't get a flip-flop though. So I guess in some other timeline it went from N to NG. Chicken Hawking. He was the only one to outlive the disease by anyone. Yeah, that whole story was weird. In fact, it's a conspiracy theory that maybe he died long, long ago and that was just like a puppet. Because he couldn't move or anything, and the only evidence that you had that he was alive was that audio device. They could have made that thing say anything if he wasn't in there doing it. Fire on are they saying the Easter Island statues burned? Really? Is that what they're saying? Easter Island statue burned. That makes no sense because there's just low grass. There should be no way that there's enough fire to burn anything. Sustain irreparable damage and fire. Ravaged parts of Easter Island's forest and burned an unknown number of sacred moai. I've never even seen a moai in a forest, and I thought there were no trees left. Now, granted, they could have brought the trees back since people live on the island now, but I have never seen a moai in a forest. Of all the images of the island, I have never seen a forest in any of them because they had cut down all the trees. Where's the effing forest? 247 acres of Rapa Nui National Park, which is roughly equal to 40% of the island. Well, that doesn't look very burnt. Irreparable damage. I mean, other than some pain. What is it, melted? I don't know. I don't get it. He does not believe the fire was an accident. All the fires on Rapa Nui are caused by human beings. Well, yeah, but it can still be an accident. There's no money to prevent forest fires on Easter Island. To prevent fire, we need to have guards permanently at the sites. So there's a guard. How is he going to stop a fire? The fire raged and officials responded to the damage. I just don't get it. I've never seen a forest anywhere on the island. I've definitely not seen any there's just that one image. Was that even a forest? All right, let's look at this. Blames humans. All right, I don't see. Wait, I'm confused. Okay, this bush right here is not burnt. This bush is not burnt. But it grew and then it died. It looks like it's dried, but it's not burnt. This plant right here looks like it's been growing a while. This bush is right next to here, and it is pretty old, and it is not burnt. Now, these grasses, one could argue, maybe popped up in the last week or something, but this bush is not burnt. Are they trying to say this black stuff is burnt? Because I don't get it. A number of Easter Islands moai suffered irreparable damage. Is he just trying to get money? Unquantifiable, unmeasurable. I mean, there's probably gonna. They say now that the moai had paint on them. All right, that it was not a thing before, but so you could say there's damage to the paint, but I don't see any. I mean, what is it? This looks more like lichen than anything on the head here. This whole thing is kind of weird because the grass only grows around the moai now. Did they just till the rest of it? I don't get this. This doesn't make any sense to me. Do we have more than one image of this supposed damage? No images. So it's just, there's no burning. It really looks like it's just, man, there's like moais everywhere. They say it's a forest, but does this look like a forest to you? This is grasslands. And it's green grasslands. I guess a fire could poke along, but it's, I mean, this is not the kind of thing that I see, damages iconic statues. I don't see any statues in that image. This, frankly, image could come from anywhere. There's no moai apparently in it. Severely damaged. There's no forest there. Let's see if I can see any evidence of a forest. I mean, in order to have forests, don't you have to have, like, trees? Earlier this week. Okay, what is this time? October 8th. All right, so, it's less than 7 days of growth. It must have rained like crazy to get that much grass in 7 days of growth. Something just doesn't make sense here. There's a fire on a hill somewhere. Dozens of moai statues damaged in wildfires, some of them irreparable. I don't know, it could cause a few more chips to fall off the side or something. I don't know. It doesn't seem like, seems a little sus. I don't know if somebody's being a drama queen or what. They want money. They also just found a ton of Egyptian artifacts in Israel, claim they once ruled the land. I'll have to check into that one too. Statue looking, you're right. I didn't catch that. Yeah, I've never seen one looking, moai looking sideways. Hold on. Moai looking sideways. You're right. They always look forward before. I should know if there's going to be moai in the news, then they're probably going to show a different looking moai. Because that's just how the reality works. Okay, that's a replica. Is this real? I've never seen that angle of them before. That's interesting. So what, were they just chiseling those? Interesting. I'll put it up so you can see it. I was just looking at this one. Aerial view. I've never seen that image before. There it is here. There's a lot of new imagery in here that I have not seen before of moai. Well, let's just do moai. There's an interesting one. Now, I have covered those before, the different kind of moai that they have now. But that's the first time that one came up quickly in a search. Ooh, now this guy comes up again. Now that one might show the residual paint. That's interesting. I've not seen one with the original paint. Seems like there's more. Look at, there's a bunch that's got this white. This white. I thought it was bird turds last time I seen it. But now I think it's residual paint because there's a lot more of it and it's clearly paint. Before there was just some white speckle on them. All right, so I think that is leftover paint. Interesting. So that they used to be painted showed up a while ago, but actually seeing the paint, other than ones that had been fixed up or replicated, we did not see the paint on many of them. Any of them, I should say. Dang, it just, I don't know. There's more images of them. It looks like they're all over the effing place. Some of these lines, they look longer than I remember. It looks like there's more of them in this line than I recall seeing in the past. Then we've got the different heights. Never used to have that. What's this one? Trying to figure out what this is right here on him, but I can't quite make it out. What's this? All right, so the arms come down, the hands are here. I'm just not sure what that is. Huh. All right, well, nothing really extreme except for the paint. All right, I'm going to click on the video from Shari. All right, you know what? I'm not good at it because it's New York Times and they're so litigious that I'm afraid to run a video by them because I could get a copyright strike like that. And I've seen that I have trouble shutting those suckers off sometimes too. I'm pretty sure, well, they were saying before that they used to be painted, and now we're seeing it. So I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I don't know. There's so many stories winging around right now. I'm waiting to see if some of them settle down with some more concrete proof than just theory. I do think a lot of these theories might come out to be true eventually, like Tartaria, but we won't know till we get there, and maybe they'll fade back out and a different one will fade in. Could that white paint be lichen? I don't think so because the way it's centered in the eyes and stuff. As a former house painter, that really just screams paint to me. And like I said, we do have the storyline that they were once painted. Okay, so we did the world population. All right, this one kind of flips me out. I've said before that there's a lot of changes in mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. But the thing I saw like yesterday, I think, was that mitochondria can now leave the cell and be sent through the bloodstream to other tissues that need mitochondria. So you can, now the body can ship out mitochondria. And that is, no, they were in the cell. You couldn't like take mitochondria and like ship them to other cells. So cells can swap mitochondria. They can be shipped out. I'm like, no, that is not right. And I've been reading a lot on mitochondria. So this is the article, I believe, that got me into it, but it was like somebody on this sub was like, put this up, and I'm like, what? Certain types of lipids, fats, inhibit mitochondria transfer to macrophages to divert adipocyte-derived mitochondria in the blood. So now they're saying that you can take adipocyte-derived, like mitochondria from fat cells, and ship them into the blood and ship them to other parts of the body. Adipocytes transfer mitochondria to tissue-specific networks of cells. To macrophages in white and brown adipose tissues to maintain metabolic homeostasis. And then they were talking about certain lipids have more of these going, like, transferred to the heart. They swap them between cells. So here's a macrophage. There's an adipocyte sending it to the macrophage, and then the macrophage, I'm saying everything wrong. Macrophage can take it to the heart and stuff. I'm like, what? No. So somebody was just talking about the lipids on there, and that's how it got me into it. But I was like, what? So in my old timeline, basically, mitochondria stayed in the cell. They could multiply in the cell. They could join. More recently, the story was that mitochondria could join up and swap genetics and help keep themselves healthy that way. But they couldn't leave the cell. They certainly, your cell needed those. And now I guess some cells can make a bunch of mitochondria and ship those effers out. That's not right. I'm sorry. No. Transfer. I actually didn't look at it too much other than to see that it was possible. So this opens up a kind of thing. So if some cells are sickly, you could just like maybe help them out by sending them new mitochondria. So that would be, I think, a good upgrade because it leaves more flexibility. The mitochondrion frequently undergoes morphological or positional changes when responding to various stresses and energy demands. In addition to intracellular changes, mitochondria can also be transferred intercellularly. Besides restoring stressed cells and damaged tissues due to mitochondrial dysfunction, the intercellular mitochondrial transfer also occurs under physiological conditions. In this review, the phenomena of mitochondrial transfer is described according to its function under both blah, 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 blah. Okay. Trigger factors, transfer routes, further perspectives. All right. For a long time, they were thought to be constrained within the cytoplasm. But in 2004, Rustam et al. First detected the movement of organelles between the mammalian cells. 2004. Um, that was after I was in school. But again, I've been researching mitochondria for like over a year and a half and intermittently throughout my life, and I've never seen this. I'm really suspicious that this is new. And there's been a lot of other changes. So, I mean, could I have missed it? Yeah, but I'm really suspicious about that. Ribs regenerating. Yeah, when did that show up? About 6 years ago? Feral mitochondria. I don't think they're feral. They're feral. They're helper mitochondria swimming around the body looking for a new home. I'm ready for a beer after that story. Yep. So I guess they hand it off to the microphages and then they take them places. I don't know. It just that goes along with the new narrative that bone marrow has stem cells and can release them to heal the body. Oh, interesting. Yeah, remember the story? The stem cells used to just be in like babies, and now they're everywhere. Yeah, no, they are now. It's so that one article I saw said it comes out of fat cells. Apparently, I mean, I'm gonna have to read that article that I just deleted from you, but I need to get a little more info on how that works. I'm very curious. The narrators are saying now that we can heal ourselves and we are the actual medbed. Somehow it resonates. I think so. I think the storyline we're going to get to that we're working on now is that we're sick because of bad advice and poisons and doing the wrong thing, and that we're actually really strong. The old storyline was we're sick because we break down and germs kick our butt and like that. But I think what we're going to get to is that we get sick because our bodies aren't in balance and we just need to fix up a few things. And I think I strongly suspect that Big Pharma is going to come down with this party. It's going to come down with that when that tree comes down as being complicit in our sickness instead of our health. And the storylines are shifting more and more towards that. All right, so there's the pub. So, we're almost at 8 billion. I wonder if we're going to hit 8 billion. It's interesting because I don't remember. We were almost at 7 billion. I don't remember them saying, oh, we hit 7 billion. All right, speaking of ancient cultures, there is an ancient culture known as Anastazi or Anasazi. You know the Anastazi or Anasazi culture. Do you remember a T in there or no T? Was it Anasazi or Anastazi that you remember? No cheating now. Anastazi or Anasazi? T or no T? It's actually dis-ease. Yeah. And see, the hint is in the name, you're out of balance kind of a thing. All right, we got so far. So I heard I was on some channel and they mentioned these peoples, and I went to look them up, and the spelling was not as the person on the show said it. And the person on the show said it the way I remember it. So I go, I type it in, and it comes up, and I'm like, oh, well, that person spelled it wrong. And wait a minute. Wait a minute here. There is a Z in there, by the way. So it ends as ZI. So it's either Anastazi or Anasazi. It's either Stazi or Sazi. So it looks like it's about 2-1 with the T. Any other votes on there? What? Ghost user remembers no T. Anybody else besides ghost user remember no T? I'm not sure about S or Z, but it had a T. Okay. There should be no T. So only ghost user, I think, remembers no T from what I'm seeing. Oh, yeah. Shari remembers a T. Eliza POW thinks there was a T. Bit of Venom remembers a T. Okay, Ann Gaynor remembers no T. So there's 2 votes for no T. Any other votes? Any other votes? I'm going to see what else is on here. Oh, I got that. I got that. I'm almost done. Ooh, it's 2:05. I think this is my last one. Okay, it's got a T. It's got no T now. It's Anasazi. So I flipped out because I swear there was a T. But I see I've yapped too long, so my 2 hours is up. The other ones aren't that exciting. There's only like one, so I'll just do it for next week. There should be no. Now, there was a T for me. And the guy on the show used a T. So that was, that flipped me out. Anastazi. It was always Stasi. Anyways, so that's it for me for the show. Thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate it very much. You know the drill. Think good thoughts, everyone. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.